Not sure if this audio is going to work. Is this any louder? Might need to adjust the volume settings a little bit. But last time what I was working on was both rendering this grid of 9x9 squares and also starting to create a stack. So there's two stacks here. If you're not familiar with a stack, or if you don't remember, a stack is like a stack of plates. There's two things that you can do to it. One of the things that you can do to it is to put new items on the top of the stack. That's called push. And the other thing that you can do is take the top item off of the top of the stack. That's called pop. You can't access any of the other items in the stack other than the top one. So in order to try to find all the paths to through this grid, where we just move up, down, left, and right, the first thing that I was trying to do yesterday was to push onto the stack the index of the next square that we're going to test. So the first the first thing that I pushed onto the stack was a 0. Does that make sense? Because that's going to be this top left square over here. And then we had this code over here which would take one item off the stack and then go search. We've done right to the right and down so far, but not any more than that. But it would take one item off the stack, it would turn that item on, and then it would push onto the stack the next two places that need to be visited. So the first one is 1, which is over here. The second one is 9 over here. So you can see this stack, these stacks are flipped. So the top of the stack is actually at the bottom. It now has 1 and 9 on it. And what I started to do was keep a second stack, which is going to keep track of the path that I've taken through the grid so far. So right now that's 0, because that's the only thing in the stack. And each time we iterate through this piece of code here, it'll pop one item off the stack of the indexes that are left to visit, and then visit it. So here it visited 9 and then pushed on 10 and 18 until it gets to the bottom. It pushed on here, this one's 64 and 72. And you can see it's also keeping track of its path in this visited stack as well. Then once it runs out of down direction to move in, what it'll do is only push the space to the right. So here this one is 73, so then as we continue iterating through, it'll get to the point where it only has the last one here on the stack, 80. And when we run that, what we actually want to do next is not jump to 64. We actually want to start popping off of this visited stack instead. So I think right now the problem is there's not enough information to tell how far back to pop off of this visited stack. Because what we'd actually want to do is pop 80 and 79 and then 78, etc. and backtrack all the way back until we got to 63. And then from there we would then push on 64. So something about this needs to keep track of the fact that 64 and let's reset it again, just to show it earlier in the state. Over here we had pushed 64. Over here we had pushed 64 and 72 onto this stack. So we need to know as we're backtracking that once we get back to this spot over here, that we know that we backtrack back to this same state that we're in now and continue with the 64 once we get to this point. So I'm going to pause here again because it's almost the top of the hour here and there's something else to do, but we'll continue working on this problem next time.